Welcome to the Bitcoin Sign Guy Jam session number 67. Hey, Michael. Hey, Mo. Daniel's going to join us in a little bit. I didn't actually post about this one, so we'll see. We'll see who shows up. But we have a small group of people working on things right now because there's a lot of other action elsewhere in the community. So, but we have some in-depth things to talk about, which, off the top of my head, I believe the biggest one is still Michael's masterpiece that he's working through. The inheritance wallet reference design. Then we have the Bitcoin core case study, which is kind of in a deep writing process, editing process. Then I created some, based on Sven's feedback on the join page, I created a small PR with just some basically usability tweaks and put Nostr and Bitcoin TV logos in the footer of the site, small stuff. And then I have not made any progress on the human readable address. I need to prioritize that with the other things. And I think that's kind of it. Anything else?
Yeah, if we have a little bit of time, I can very quickly share the new Bitcoin Design Guide use cases and interviews section that I created. It's just a issue that I created today. But if we have time, but no need, I can share it also on another call.
Cool. Mo, should we also talk about the wallet collaboration docs that we're putting together?
Okay. That's a good one.
Yeah. Okay, but Michael, why don't we start with you? How's things going? You got a lot of feedback. I think you got feedback from 3 people. I left like 40 comments or so. So you got a lot too.
It was more like 5, but yeah, no, it was. It's actually very good. Some really cool feedback, and I actually wanted to. I think I addressed most of it and already integrated most of it and the comments, but I wanted to maybe discuss the largest piece of feedback, which is about.
Yeah, there were 80 comments so far. That means that people are reviewing, so that's good.
80. So many? Didn't feel
I just left a review half an hour ago. I hope that didn't throw you off even further.
If you're saying there were 4 or 5, you might mean individual reviews. But one review, like my review, was 41 comments. I remember that when I was like, I hope I'm not butchering the whole thing. Hope it's all okay.
No. Oh yeah, it's true. I got to some of them last week already. Yasharash also left a bunch of comments and yeah, but it still felt like it was less somehow. It's, many of them were small things, and but one of the bigger ones that I wanted to actually discuss is about, here we go, about in the wallet creation, about the first thing, do we need captions for like onboarding screens?
So here's the thing. If you don't leave captions, then no one knows why those screens are done in what order and why do they exist. Like why was these particular messages chosen? Why were they chosen in this order, right? Like all of these things matter, and there's design consideration, design decisions behind it that if they're not explained, then people just kind of have to guess, and then they'll just make their own thing. So I think explaining that intent is helpful.
Yeah, good point.
Like the first one is about together, right? Well, the very, very first one is just framing the overall purpose of the application. So that's the entry part. The second one is really focused on this part about together, about people, framing it in the person that, okay, this is not a solo wallet. I'm going to do this with other people and we're going to communicate. And then you have the time-based recovery, and the sleep easy message about, this is going to take care of you. You're going to be safe, all these mechanisms. And then another big use case is the inheritance stuff. And then you kind of get the motivational thing going. So I think there's always a purpose behind each of these, and they should capture kind of the bigger picture of the whole application and its role in your life and set you up for the next steps. So I think that's good stuff to express.
All right,
Yeah.
let's do it. What I the kind of the biggest question mark that I have, and it's maybe also in my response to your comment, Christoph, is kind of about the actual wallet creation part. So about what the wallet provider actually does, what the wallet app basically is coordinating, and I try to describe what I was originally thinking, and which was that basically the app kind of just like Sparrow Wallet, for instance, it creates kind of a shell or a container for the wallet, and the users keep kind of collaborating until they've added all the necessary or the required XPubs and public keys. And so that of course implies that the app has servers and does something in the background to coordinate in this kind of use case where this collaboration happens asynchronously. So that was kind of when I was thinking a bit more about it over the past couple of days, is maybe that's just overemphasizing this async and remote use case, and toning that down a bit, where basically I just need to synchronously, when I'm creating a wallet, so somebody is going to be the kind of the coordinator or the kind of the admin, the first admin of the wallet until it's created. And so what might be more appropriate is that basically I have to, or the family gathers somewhere, or I with my wife Bob and Alice create kind of the first key set, and then I coordinate with the children, kind of physically in person or over a video call, or somehow we create that wallet. But it's a synchronous process. Or they just hand me their XPubs so that we don't have to rely on the wallet provider to kind of manage this thing. But still, the app would have to kind of keep track or just save kind of this progress locally somehow. That was kind of one of the main, or I think the main thing that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah. Sorry, I need to sneeze here. Okay, it's gone. Yeah, so there are multiple layers to this. So on the one hand, you can start by saying, well, we want to have a certain user experience, and then the wallet provider just has to make that work somehow. Of course, with self-custody and all this stuff. The other one would be you put hard restrictions on the wallet provider, saying, for example, like, with Bitcoin Core, there's no customer support. It's not going to coordinate anything with you because there are no servers and there's no company, there's nothing. So you can do stuff in the application, but you're going to have to send stuff. You're going to have to find your own way to get that information to someone else. And you can message it, you can do, email it or whatever it is, but you're going to have to, and the wallet can give you a convenient format, but you're going to have to manage that. It can tell you what you need to do, but you still need to find the way to do it. So I think you kind of need to choose. And I guess the question is, in the bigger picture, is if this is meant for inheritance, 20, 30, 40 years, and for interoperability. I mean, I guess 20 years ago, there weren't even any wallets. It didn't exist. So I guess what wallets will exist in 20 years? Will they be the same? Like, what's the likelihood of that? And because it really would be a shame if there was some point in there where you just cannot recover your stuff, or your kids can't recover it because this particular software application doesn't exist anymore. So I feel like the focus on open standards and absolutely minimally requiring or even not relying on any services provided might be the better approach.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and then you build
Sorry, go ahead. Go.
Yeah, and then you can work up from those requirements. As you said, there's a shell. There's the wallet itself that starts as an empty shell in a way, and then gets filled first with logic, like how many keys, how many are required for this and that, and then you kind of the keys get slotted into the logic. And so the single person, the person who creates it, they have the shell, and they have the keys then at some point. So the other people, they still don't have the wallet because they only have one key. They still cannot put everything together. So at some point, that shell also needs to be distributed. Right?
Yeah.
But then
Yeah,
it cannot be fully distributed, because if everyone has all the keys, then you run into the thing where the kids, you don't want them to know what their inheritance is. So they also should not get the whole shell or the whole coordination stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's going to be the topic of the backup page, the next page that's coming up. Because I have kind of, I know how I think that could work, and I'm going to publish this one, or kind of put a PR out this week. But I wanted to get this done here first, and in the background it's going to be just only a Miniscript wallet, basically, or normal wallet, but so probably it's more appropriate to just tell the users that they, the app locally on the kind of the admin or the creator of the wallet, it will just save the progress locally, and then once he gets all the XPubs somehow into the app or into the wallet, create the wallet, and then distribute it somehow.
Yeah, and then would the lawyer then be the person who has the whole shell?
So
the kids wouldn't.
Give me.
And I think that's great logic to go into the application use case and scope thing. Like who is the wallet provider? What kind of assumptions are made about them? This fictional wallet. What do they do and what do they not do?
And Michael just throw another little curveball in. I read through it just like an hour and a half ago, so it's pretty little bit fresh in my mind. But I made some notes as I was reading through it, and after doing some interviews with some people from the guide, people are sort of, the feeling that I'm getting is people are diving into the guide every now and then to sort of dip their fingers in, and then they dip out again while they're building. So the suggestion that I made is the user flow is essentially 3 different sections. I wrote it down here. They configure the wallet, then they add the signing keys, and then they finalize the wallet. But like when you're reading through, it's like reading a book, right? You know right from the outset what you're getting into. But because this is so, it's so meaty, the user flows, it's just like, I would almost want to know what to expect when I dive in, like what sort of commitment is required from me as a builder if I'm going to implement this into my wallet. And I feel like I can have a bit more of an idea of that if I know it a bit more in the beginning, like just like this high level overview right at the beginning, letting them know that there's going to be 3 steps that's required. Because for me, like I think very structurally, so I like to see, like, how could you say, I like to see the lines, like I like to see what's happening. And this is just, I don't know what's the right word to use. It's like reading a very long, thick novel, without knowing if I want to read the novel yet.
Do you
So
mean
I want to know.
Right.
do you mean do you mean this on a per page basis? Like each page needs to be a bit standalone, or the thing as a whole? Like you have the introduction page, right? That should list the different chapters and stuff, and then you can decide. You can get an idea of what you want to see. Let me actually.
Sorry, I didn't communicate clearly. It's the Create Wallet page that I reviewed today. That's the only page that I reviewed today. So on the Create Wallet page, because it's so meaty with all of those different subsections, I would at the beginning just introduce in some way that there's these three very distinct sections that they're going to be breaking off into. Because otherwise it's very, very meaty, the whole thing with all the user flows and yeah.
Yeah.
So that granted, it's very long, and for now, what's in there? I mean, there is a table of contents in there, but it's more, it's not very explicit. And after for the wallet's kind of configuration part, or after the onboarding, I mentioned that there are two primary kind of sections, but it's in the normal copy. It's not like a bullet point kind of summary of what you need to do. So yeah, granted, that could be more explicit.
On the TLDR at the top.
And then my eyes have started to be more detailed in the last year. I have no idea why. But one other small little thing that I noticed is the progress bar over here on these pages. They sort of have this very sort of fun, new kind of design to it. And then when you go to the progress bar here, it's sort of the standard progress bar. So just a small little design decision. I just noticed that there was a difference between those two different progress bars, and if that might just help with continuation. But that's just something super tiny, and I'm sorry if it gives you a lot of extra work.
Yeah, the second one probably needs to be removed because it's not a linear process where you can actually know ahead of time how many screens you have, and
Yeah.
that's always not that helpful.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, or I know. Well, and I know it's true. If you don't add no, you do. You have one page for the name, one for the wallet type, one for the recovery path, one for the inheritance key set, one for the review.
But within there, you're counting sections, not pages. In there, you have all kinds of subscreens. Connect an external one, or paste something in, or
Of course, yeah, of course. But in the kind of scope of the wallet creation, there is a kind of it's broken down into the same sections.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Anyways, we have a yeah.
But it's fine. It's a very small little minor detail. Yeah.
Let's start from the top. Okay, Michael, are you listed outlining the feedback, or should I do that in the jam session document?
Oh well, I can do it. Hang on.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was kind of the experience feedback, making it easy to read, easy to get into, so you don't have to read the whole thing to know what's there, but you can have an easy entry point, pagination feedback. Then there was a larger discussion around the scope of the wallet provider and how that then affects the interactions and user experience after that.
Structuring. And then the question of using a progress bar.
I see 152 was so far the one with the most comments. Why doesn't this sorting doesn't seem to work very well? 104. 75. 105. $130 comments. Yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon to get so much discussion, so much feedback.
You got a lot of people interested in what you're working on, Michael.
Well, that's good, and it's not. I mean, it's one of the larger.
And I think
Larger
getting
things,
that
right?
right will make the other pages much easier to review. Yeah.
Yeah, the backup page will also be much shorter,
Mhm.
with probably almost no UI or kind of mockups, more like illustrations of how the individual parts will be distributed.
Yeah.
And yeah, then the recovery is probably the one where we get much more UI again. So I think this is probably going to be the one with the most kind of UI impact, let's say.
Cool. So how are you looking overall with your timing and things?
Well, depending on, I mean, I can, based on the thoughts that I have now from this call, I can probably remove a lot of designs or one or two galleries from this page, which will make it easier to read. But
Why is that?
I'll
Which ones would you remove?
well, if I go the route that I don't allow kind of the heirs or the other the co-signers use their own instance of the app to add their keys, then the process will look like for each of will look the same for each of the inheritance keys or each of the co-signers. So so the inheritance key set, adding the signing keys, the adding signing keys section will be much shorter, probably.
So I don't totally understand. Why is it so much shorter?
Well, because I'm not gonna the heirs will not basically do anything than transmit the key to me as the coordinator, right?
That's how it has to work, right? If you have the requirement that they should not see the funds, they cannot get the full wallet config with all the XPubs. Otherwise, they can see all the addresses and see what's in there. So they can only have their crate keys and send it to the parents, basically, right?
Yeah, and it could work in a way that is in your on the back in your back. Then the wallet provider would play a much larger role, right? That they would coordinate. The wallet app would only allow the heirs to see what they should be able to see based on which key set their key that they have provided belongs to. That would be possible only if the wallet provider plays a much larger role. If he plays a very small role, then basically the coordinator or the owner of the wallet gets the XPubs from everybody, adds them, uses, and only Bob and Alice can use the wallet, and everybody else just holds the key. And you would then also do key checks in a different way.
Yeah, and if both parents die in a car accident, then the lawyer should have the whole wallet.
Yeah. So yeah, I have to, maybe I can show that real quickly, not to hijack the entire hour, but the So, and I have to recheck that if it makes sense. But the idea was kind of to have this recovery kit or this backup, the backup file, backup kit, password protected, and then distribute the kind of these two materials from each other, separate them from each other, so that nobody can get, the can restore the wallet on their
Yep.
own, and they would have to collude somehow. But I have to check whether this concept really checks out, and that's going to be part of the backup page, kind of the next page, which
Yep.
should be done.
Cool.
Get
So I would say with all of this, perfect is the enemy of the good. So I think try to get some of these other pages out too, and we can merge the first one. It still says at the beginning that this whole section is being under construction, right? You might notice feedback on some later pages that some of the earlier pages might need some tweaks or so. I would just kind of keep moving with all this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, but the thing about the entire process, how it works, I think that needs to be figured out ASAP or before that, because it has impact on the subsequent content.
Yeah. I mean, details are fine; you can still be adjusted, but fundamentally, it should be like the role of the wallet. And with the role of the wallet provider, I think it'd be interesting if there was a small thing where you can say, well, Casa also has inheritance features, but they do it this and that way, where the wallet provider does this, and then Nunchuk, in comparison, they only do this or that. I actually don't know if they're exactly the same or if they're different and all of this stuff, but I think that's kind of an interesting point there, to get these comparisons of how things could be done otherwise. And if someone wants to build a wallet that where the provider is much more in between things, then they can look at these examples.
Right. Yeah, I made a note about that in the jam session document as well.
Awesome. It's so complex, this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be cool if you could just do it the way that I want, without without all the yeah. Cool. Yeah, and based on that decision, I'm gonna have to update the prototype as well, and these kind of, so it's it'll kind of build on one thing on the other.
Yep. Yeah, just send a message when you want more reviews. I'm because I know you're working on things. I'm just waiting right now.
Yeah, I'm also ready to give another review as well, whenever you're ready.
Cool. Yeah, I want to get this one out probably then. Yeah, I'll have to do that first, because before I push any of the other pages.
Yeah.
Probably. Okay, cool.
Cool.
So what do we have next on this list here? I guess we can just look at PRs. I intentionally did not put things in the notes, because what do we have a list of pull requests here for?
Yeah.
So should we talk about the Bitcoin Core app case study?
Yes, I am ready. So I just, I'm sharing my screen. I have a few tabs open, but so with the case study, I have it as a draft at the moment in the guide. I'm aware that I've put the order in correctly, because this should go underneath wallet scrutiny. I've now seen that Christoph has jumped into the Google document and added in a bunch of comments, which I'll look at today or tomorrow, because I actually want to jump into the wallet builder Excel document straight after this call. So look through these comments over here, and it is in draft mode. And then I will edit, whatever, everything from here and put it back into the draft. So thank you for those comments. The next step with this one, I feel, is the images. I made a bit of a start with the images. I'm just literally playing with ideas at the moment. Christoph said do something like a before and after. This idea didn't get me very far. Then I looked at the wallet scrutiny one, where we just put a nice huge image, showing it over there. So I'm at the stage now of preparing images, just really getting images ready for the case study and thinking of ideas. This looks very simple at the moment, but I'm kind of stealing some ideas, also looking at what Michael has. So I'm going to be working on images, I think, this week, and I would like to set a personal goal of having all the images ready by the end of the week, at least, solid images that are going to go in. And I feel like the case study would just need a heading banner at the beginning. Then it's going to need something like this. I really like this image, how it tells a story. And then this is such a cool image over here, which got us so much traction on Twitter. Maybe add in something of the block clock, and then add in some screens in a sort of like carousel format. And that's it. I think I'm making it sound a lot simpler than it is, but this is how I've simplified it in my mind. Add in images, work on creating 3 or 4 images, add them in, and move the PR out of draft mode. And that's it. That's as simple as it is in my mind. Just let me know if I've oversimplified it.
Yeah, well, I'm less happy with the text, with the content itself. That's why I started rewriting stuff earlier, and I'm not done. I need to get back to things. And it's still, my question is still, are we telling the right top level story of this whole thing? At the beginning, I feel like I'm a little bit more happy now with all those edits, but then scrolling further down, something I was just thinking about is, long-term goal and vision. Here it says long-term goal is to become a full-featured Bitcoin wallet with broad support.
Yeah,
kind of true, but there's also a larger long-term vision, right? That's the vision of having this, in addition to Bitcoin Core, the consensus and the node and all this stuff being around for the next 100 years, that this foundation that we set up in design and user experience also is around for another 100 years, and it is truly open source and truly decentralized process with this really open documentation where people can build on top, something that didn't exist before, where we set a new great standard for design. And in this fully, the larger story outside of the features about, and then ideally inspiring kind of the rest of the Bitcoin ecosystem by doing great first implementations of brand new features like Assume UTXO, and bringing in the silent payments, and bringing in multi-sig and all of this stuff that the application can kind of set the tone for some of these new features, or provide, not set the tone in kind of dictating things, but be a great first implementation of all these things, and then also provide a great developer experience for and the hobbyists. So that's just a bigger picture, and then you get into the. So yeah, but that was just illustrating my point about still trying to tell the story of the project and the ambition of it in just the right way, and then getting into the features. I agree with you that we have the design docs. We don't need to show like 500 images and explain all the features. People can go to the design docs. It's all right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd still try to spend more time with the
copy.
The copy.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'll spend more time on the copy. And in terms of the copy, which particular section? So more so this long-term vision section of the.
I'm just working from top to bottom right now.
Okay. There's the sort of presentation angle that we're going from at the moment. I feel like we're presenting it sort of a bit from a historical perspective, and I feel like then the sort of the process itself, we're not going too much into the details of the process. We're going more sort of, I don't even know what's the word, like visionary, like stepping back a bit. And in the process, we can always refer them to like, go click in the design docs. Here you can see the research, the bit that I'm struggling with, to be honest, is this bit over here with regards to the process, because the process, as you commented over here, was not as linear as this.
Yeah.
We scoped up the MVP. I feel like there's been continuous scoping of the MVP. The user flows were done, consistently. The user stories were done at some point. So, I've never needed to tell a story where things were not done in this sort of chronological order. So I think maybe is it an idea to sort of present it in terms of, these are all the things that were done and these are why it was done, and don't make it seem as if it was like a linear process.
Yeah, that I think that's also part of telling the story. So you have other things like where there's just a linear process, you just kind of go through it and that's it. But this is Bitcoin Core and it's different and it's a unique project. And I think making that part of this is too, where you have a lot of engaged individuals contributing in different ways. And out of that comes, emerges kind of this whole thing. And so by the nature of what it is and how it has to work, then you end up with a much more organic process that is much less linear. And it's not so time-based, right? It's not like in a company, like we have quarterly reports, we need to get the feature X out, to increase profit or whatever it is. Like none of these things exist. It's much more community driven and open. And then, yeah, so I think just telling that story also, and it's so counterintuitive, but I feel like designers need to be okay with that sometimes. And if we explain it here of why it is the way it is, then that's a good case study, right?
Yeah.
And because
Explain why, and that's because
that it's not just. I mean, it might look like chaos, but it's very intentionally this way, And there is a harmony to it. It's just very, very different than from what you're used to. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will really work on rewriting the process section, as my first dive back into the content. You've been helping a lot with the copy here. I think this is your second rewrite of the introduction. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, let me know if it's annoying.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I feel like the way it's being rewritten from two people, and I feel like there's some value in doing it from that perspective. So yeah, I think I will work on images, and I will work on rewriting the process section, which for me is the weakest link right now in all of the copy. And then I'll have another read through, and I'll also think about the long-term goal and vision. You mentioned assume UTXO, silent payments, and that the application has the potential to be an implementation of all of these things.
Yeah, I think so. The process is, that's what we already talked about just now. Then, if you want to talk about individual features, of course, you can take a screenshot of what Node UI looks like in the current Qt, and then you can show the block log and the explanations for it and the different states and maybe the showcase. And you can talk about the idea is to turn this from a UI where it's more like some progress bars and numbers into this beautiful thing that that people just, that's so unique and people really appreciate, that makes it feel special or appear. And then the other, I mean, basically part of this is updating the UI to current standards. There are 1,000 wallets now. We don't need to reinvent the wheel for certain things. It's just we need to make it work on mobile, desktop. That's normal 2024 best practices. And then you have the new stuff where, because we have a new foundation that is based on these best practices, now we can design for you as UTXO. We can design with multi-key in mind. We can design with silent payments in mind. right? Because there's now a team working on this with a really great foundation. And then I think that's also a strong point to make.
Mhm.
How ideally, because of this rewrite and redesign, the design process will be much more flexible and agile, and this application can really become kind of the place where these features not just get added like 10 years later, but where
Mhm.
they kind of emerge in a way. Hey, Daniel.
Mhm.
So I think there are a lot of really
And
good points to be made, and then you can find the right images for these different points.
Okay, so I'll only work on header image, and then I'm going to leave images for the rest of the thing, because we still need to. The copy is not quite there yet, so I'll only work on header image, and I'll work on these 2 copy bits that we did. So the design process for sure, and the long-term goal and vision. So I'll just dive back into it again.
Yeah, it's always best if the images emerge from the content. Yeah. And as far as images, didn't you and I don't know if you wanna didn't you and Jakob take images of like holding up a sign or so?
We do. That's like I
I don't know
have
if
that
you
on my
wanna,
Twitter.
yeah, I don't know if you want to put them on there, but I mean
I
that's
love to
part
do
of the
that.
process where you go out and talk to people. That's
Yeah, that's a good one. I felt it might have been a bit too playful, but I think that brings in the human element. Yeah, that's a good one. Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. Yes. All right. Seems like I've been trying to just, move the PR out of the draft mode, like super ready. Let's fly. Let's just go back Let's go back into copy again. I will do that. It's all good.
sometimes you put on a little bit pressure to make things move. So
It's all good. It's all good. I will go back into copy. Hey, Daniel. Yes, we have 15 minutes left. I think that's enough on the Bitcoin Core case study. What else would you guys like to?
So yeah, I mean, maybe that's a good topic with Daniel here now as well. Is let me, or Michael, Daniel, did you have anything urgent, specific, anything you'd like to talk about?
I just have a general question, since I'm kind of in talks with the guys from the team from FrostSnap about kind of a reference design for kind of a Bitcoin wallet that is powered by Frost signatures or Frost keys. Would, in terms of where to kind of put it, it's clearly not something that's going to be on the horizon very soon, probably, and it's quite experimental. Would you? Is there where would we put something like this if we would say, okay, let's put it in the guide?
Are you talking about
If
page
at
structure?
all? No, yeah, and where in the guide would it make sense to have
I
it?
mean, that's hard to know.
The reference
I just wouldn't worry about structure so much. I would just do the work and figure out what it is, and then at the right place will kind of emerge. I mean, if it's really more analytical about how it could work, then you put in how it works. If it's really about more, if it's like a collaboration with FrostSnap and it's using their design language or something, then it could be a case study. If it's like an inheritance thing, but it's a different way of doing it, it could be a subpage there. If it's more like the savings wallet, but a slightly different tech, it could be a subpage there. So it really just depends on what it is.
Right. Yeah, it definitely would I definitely see that it would have a how it works page would be needed, because it just works differently from how everything else works. And maybe a case study or a sub reference design for the same, let's say, use case that we have somewhere.
Yeah. You can
Cool.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Oh, go ahead, Daniel.
I don't know much about it at all, but I mean, I presume it has something to do with how you manage the keys and stuff. So maybe it could fit into the sort of key management, how it works, with just a short page there to start things up.
Cool. Yeah, it's so anyway, I want to get the inheritance wallet done first, or kind of that has higher priority definitely. So it was just kind of an adjacent question. So nothing kind of super urgent.
We can always restructure things if they don't fit for the content.
All right.
Okay, so the other topic was that something Mo and I started here. This is a Google sheet here with a whole list of wallets. We're trying to gather notes on all the different ones. So idea is, because we have all this stuff scattered all over the place, and it's just kind of hard to know who did what with whom and find out the links to the right people that we talk to and all the stuff, let's say, So we just want to put things in one place. And then the idea would be that each wallet or project would have its own subpage about collaboration notes, where we have links to website, Telegram, whatever, screenshots in Figma if we have kind of list of contributors. You have any community interactions in there. For example, with Blue Wallet, we created some issues around accessibility. There's some pull requests. That one was actually, I think one of them was merged today. And then there's just some general notes, right? About, and the idea would be to gather, everyone's thoughts on just kind of also a bit of a roadmap. Like, what are they doing? What are their goals? What are they trying to achieve? Like, Mutiny is very different. They mash Bitcoin, Lightning, Nostr, and Fedimint together. Blue Wallet is going to be on-chain only, so it's just very different, and it works different. Some are companies, some are not. Just capture some of that, and then maybe also list out the UX challenges, and then maybe we can find some patterns, and we can start better working with them and helping the projects, collaborating to address, not just make things better, I guess. So this is kind of we just started this. It's kind of messy still, but that's kind of the groundwork here. What do you think of that? Or Mo, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna dive into this document straight after our call because I have that on my to-do list today. So I think I'll start with just one wallet. I think I'll just choose, or Breeze or Zeus or any of the following, and then I'm just gonna go and also create a Google document similar to what you've created. But I like it that we have a touch point in terms of what we've done with projects, calls in the community, Figma files. It gives us a very good point to continue building relationships with these builders from, because I feel like our interactions can be very intentional, as opposed to just going in and saying, what are you working on at the moment? How can we help? So yeah, I think I think we made a really good start. So yeah.
Yeah, so Mo, you can just duplicate one of the documents and start editing it. I found that the easiest way. And my goal right now is to every day or every other day, pick one of those wallets and just write one of those docs. Just kind of spend 20 minutes looking at them, see what they're up to, just write things and just kind of fill things in. So hopefully it's a good resource over time. I don't know if it's the best to have it in the Google documents, but it just seems like the easiest for now.
Yeah.
So what do you make of it?
Yeah, thanks for kicking it off. I also had the thought about Google, but then I realized, so I didn't have a better choice to be honest. I mean, we could do it in GitHub, but maybe not everything should be public in that kind of way, especially if it has links and kind of personal social media reference and stuff. So I guess this is good enough for now until we find out that it has some flow that we didn't think of. So yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah, for initial editing, it's you just type stuff in, right? You don't need to mess with pull requests and all these things.
Yeah, and I think for initially to have, it's a simple spreadsheet or a simple way to do things before until something emerges, maybe a different kind of structure or format that we want. Oh,
Yeah.
somebody came home and instantly starts crying.
I didn't hear anything.
That's me every day.
That's Christoph looking at my PR.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's always easy to start all these docs, but then we just kind of have to find a good way to use them and work with
Yeah.
them too.
I think we have to figure out how we're going to use the documents. So maybe it would be something as simple as, wallet of the week, or wallet of the month, or wallet of the 2 weeks, and then you go into the Google document, you get a feeling of what's been going on in the project, and then we just, we reach out to the project, or we do a design review video, post it on their, Twitter, something like that. So yeah.
Yeah, and maybe it doesn't have, maybe it can be internally public, but not publicly public. So GitHub would be super public, but if it circulates between people working on the guide or so, still in an open fashion, right? That's still a different thing. And it's not like there's anything private in there. And we're not going to say anything nasty about projects or so anyways. Like it's just normal stuff. Like they have feature X, they focus on this. Here's a link to their roadmap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good visualization for us, and myself in particular. It's just good to see every name in one place, kind of, because all these names, but you don't always have them in front of you, and you kind of like don't think about them as a coherent group. And yeah, I'd be personally quite interested also in just finding out what they're up to, and like you say, what's their kind of top of mind currently. Like Moon, for example, I just updated it and opened it for the first time in a while, and it seems the same to me as 2 years ago. I don't quite know what's going on there, and I would be curious to know, and also if there's something I can do or we can do to help, because they're a curious case of almost being undesigned. I mean, they're very deliberate in the UX, obviously, but in terms of UI, it's almost doesn't have design. Interesting.
Yeah. And then the other thing that this table would be useful for, if we do pick out some of the interoperability features, so have a column around Bolt 12, have a column around silent payments, have one around multi-language recovery phrases, just this type of spotty stuff that we notice, or the unified QR or other things, where then we could go out and see if we can help with interoperability or so.
Yeah.
It then becomes almost a kind of a wallet comparison page where you have X's and check marks if there is a certain feature where you could see what kind of the feature set is.
Yeah.
There are two ways you could do it. Either you could just plug in all the features just to have it in there, or you use it as a working document. So if we're trying to boost Bolt 12 interoperability and adoption, then we can put it in there. And then once everyone has it, then we'll take it out, because it's just...
Yeah, exactly.
So that becomes more of a working document. I don't know why I'm laughing when I say once everyone has it.
Yeah, I'm going to dive in. I'm just going to choose a wallet, and I'm just going to dive in straight after the call. So that's my, yeah. And then once we have all of let's just say we've done all of the notes. That's, I don't know, maybe something like 20 documents. I'm just guesstimating. Then we can just, start reaching out in whichever way feels comfortable to the wallets, either directly to the person, the contact themselves, or on Twitter, or
yeah. So if you kind of read through the whole thing, then ideally you have an idea of where those wallets are and what they're currently doing. So if a wallet is just starting something and it's a great point for design to come in, cool, let's do that. Or if you notice certain patterns and they're not the best ones, you can just focus on that, right? Then I think ideally we start noticing these things where there are good opportunities to help out and chip in and move things forward. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's how I would imagine it to work. But we'll see.
Yeah. I'll share super quick. Also, sorry if you're finished with this one, Christoph.
Yeah.
I'll just share my screen very quickly. Where is this? I just want to go here. So I kicked this off today. I just call this Bitcoin Design Guide Use Cases and Interviews. This is going to be documentation. So I actually do enjoy documenting things. I think the biggest challenge with this is getting people to speak to. But something that I'd like to do is I'd like to very sporadically add in my calendar, maybe once a month or once in 2 weeks. Something like I'll just create a fun graphic. I'll post in the community. Ever use the Bitcoin Design Guide? Just react with an emoji, and then I'm going to go reach out to that person. We do have a few names who we know have already used the design guide. So ideally, reaching out to those people, speaking with them. But I interviewed someone last week who used the Bitcoin Design Guide, and I asked for their consent to, make everything public. So this was a one-on-one interview. It was half an hour long, and it's just giving a little bit of background of who's using the guide. It's a Lightning Wallet builder, solo builder. What are they using? Which are the most heavily used parts that they're using of the guide? How are they using those parts? Daily spending wallet, the glossary, and if there's any areas that they've asked for, to improve. And something that I'm interested in is how was their research done to build the wallet? And then I put it with main takeaways. And not all of these might be, interviews. For example, there's another Lightning Wallet team who Steve asked the comment, and then I just literally copied and pasted in the chat, and then I made a quick summary of the chat. So this will be, I think this is interesting because it'll give us some data to go back on when we're having discussions. Like already you can see it's 2 people, and both people mentioned the daily spending wallet. So yeah, I just kicked that one off, and I'll just keep on documenting. I'd like to speak to more people. Yeah, that's it.
That's great.
Find out how the guide's being used, get content ideas, find out which are the most heavily used parts as well. Gives you a nice idea of what to focus on if we're reiterating on content, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's it. And we're finished on the dot.
Right, I just wanted to say, right on time.
I did not talk for 1 second too many. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to chit chat now, so I'll stop the recording. Thank you for tuning in.